tonight in But My Helix Don't Got That, Episode 2, the Digitech Gfx1, the rack preamp that everyone forgot about. Good evening. Tonight I want to talk about like tone matching with the Line 6 Helix. There's been a lot of talk lately with the new quad cortex coming out. It does profiling kind of like a Kemper, and there's kind of two schools of thought, two camps so to speak, online. Largely, one is how come Helix doesn't have that many models in it, or it has 100 something, I don't know, but some people want more and they want specific things, and I get that. Yeah, I'd love to see a 2C plus. And then the other camp is about like, well, I can get everything I need out of the Helix. You just have to use a different amp and just tweak it a little bit. And there's validity to both things. Sometimes it's just nice to plug in a model. But at any rate, all of that aside, what I'd like to talk about tonight is I want to do a little tone match. I want to use one of these bad boys. This is a Digitech Twin Tube Gfx1. Is that getting in focus there? This is from like 1991. I've had this thing for a long time. It's pretty much the first rack preamp I ever owned, and I really like it. And so I did a tone match the other day just because I wanted to make one, and I decided that it would be kind of cool to show you that and show you how I did it. I did this once before with a blues driver. I'm not going to get too much tonight into how I set up all the routings and the paths for all this stuff. I'm just going to kind of show you the nitty-gritty of how this thing, how I matched it, and then we'll listen to it and we'll see how it sounds. So here we go. First thing we got to do is I want to take a look at the Gfx1. So what I have is I have it in a loop here. We're coming in aux, we're going out 1/4 inch, and we're going to come over here to the spectrum analyzer. And basically what we're going to do first is we want to take a look. We're going to put it in oscilloscope mode. We want to take a look at what this thing's doing. So I'm going to hit go. I'm putting out a sine wave here. And let's get the size right. Size it down a little bit. Alright, so we're at 400 hertz. And this amp is definitely distorting. But we're just taking a look at what the wave looks like. So we're going to come down to around, let's go down around 100 hertz. Alright, still distorting a lot. Got a lot of peaks on it. When you see really pointy like that, it's got a lot of hair on it. It usually sounds pretty aggressive. 800, and still pointy. Still pointy. So this is kind of a pointy, sawtoothy kind of thing here. This is what the waveform kind of looks like in this bad boy. Alright. So, let's stop. It's pretty much the same wave shape through the whole thing. Now we're going to go to the spectrum analyzer mode. We're going to switch to pink noise. Alright. And we're going to hit go. And what we get here, we're going to hit peak hold. What we're going to get here, let's give it a minute to come up. We're going to get a nice graph of the EQ curve of this thing. So we know it's got those pretty sharp sawtooth kind of waves. And there's our EQ curve. So we're going to hit stop. And we're going to save this to memory slot number 1. And from now on, it will appear in green. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to come back over here to Helix. And we're going to turn off this loop. And we're going to add an amp. And let's just take a quick look. I mean, I kind of know the answer, but we're going to take a look at we're going to look at preamps, because this is just a preamp. So we're going to start with something that I know won't work. Let's just go with the 2204. All right, factory settings. Come back over here. Let's just take a quick glance at the oscilloscope. We'll hit go, and we're going to go to sine wave and 755 hertz. Let's go this way. Alright, it's kind of pointy. Let's go down. 300 hertz, that doesn't look the same. 100 hertz, that's pretty round. up to 1K maybe. See what that looks like. 1100 hertz. That's looking similar up there. It might work. Hit stop. Let's take a quick look at the spectrum analyzer. I mean at the spectrum analyzer, and let's hit go here, and we'll see what this comes up and looks like. So we're looking at this a lot quieter. We can bring the level up. Let's go ahead and bring the level up. So we'll come over here. We'll go channel volume. We'll dime the channel volume. That'll bring up the spectrum analyzer. We'll bring the master up too. Alright, so even we bring the master up. The high end looks similar, and we kind of saw that in the sine wave of around 1100 hertz, but the low end is grossly different. So it's probably not going to work. Plus the bass, the low frequencies, the sine waves were very round, whereas on the Gfx1 it was very distorted. So turn that off, hit stop. I'm not going to save it. We'll make that one go away. Let's try a different amp. Let's just go and let's look at an angle meteor, or not an angle meteor. Let's look at the arch type lead. I'm going to bring the channel volume all the way up because I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same situation where it's going to be really low. Let's hit go. This is off. This is on. Yeah, it's on. And go turn the generator on. There we go. Alright, so this one's more mids to 1K, rolls off more, whereas this one peaks up a little higher. Again, we might be able to fix that with an EQ. Let's hit stop. Let's take a quick glance at the oscilloscope. Go back to sine wave. Hit go. Alright, we get those pointy things. We're at 1100 hertz. Let's come back down. Let's go to like 600 hertz. That doesn't really look the same. Let's go down to like 300 hertz. That's getting rounded. Let's go down to 150 hertz or something. That's really a round sine wave. So that's really a round wave. So that's not going to be the same thing. So hit stop. And now let's try the Soldano SLO. Soldano lead OD. Alright, so now start with the, again, we'll just start with the oscilloscope this time. Let's hit go. Alright. It's kind of rounded, but it's got the little hook on it. Again, here's what it is. Let's go up the frequency range. Getting more pointy. Getting real similar. So it's got a little more hair on it at the bottom end than the other ones did. Some of that can get corrected as we go along. So if we come over here and we bring the treble up, it changes it. And then we bring the mids up some, and we pull probably a little drive out. Yeah, a little drive. So you can see we can affect the wave shape here. Plus the master's not all the way up. Let's bring the master up. And I just pegged that. Let's just bring this down now. Wrong way. Let's go this way. So there we go. It's pretty similar. And maybe we can make a go with this one. So let's see what we can do. Let's hit stop here. And let's go to the signal generator. And let's hit go. Let's put this on pink noise. And signal generator's on. Let's hit go. See what we get. Alright. Fairly close. Got more bass in this. Kind of peaks out a little bit before the other one, but I'm going to make a go of it because I liked what I saw with the sine waves. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an EQ block right here, right after the amp. So actually the first thing we should do is let's go in here. Let's go back to this and let's look at tweaking the EQ controls. So let's bring this treble down. It's pretty high. pull some bass out. Soldanos always sound good with the drive around 4 or 4.5. And let's hit stop and then go. And let it come back up and see what we get now. Alright, that made a big difference right there. So, I'll hit stop. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add an EQ block. And I'm just going to use a 10-band graphic. And we're going to tweak. So now we know we have way too much down the low frequency, so we're going to cut the hell out of 31 hertz. Around 60 hertz, we're still probably 10 dB high, so we're going to cut the hell out of that. Around 100 hertz, we're a little high also. This is 125, so we'll pull a little bit out of this. We're pretty good there. We're a little too high around 1.5K. Pull a little bit out of that. Around 4K we got to come up. Come up a couple dB. On 8K we got to come up. There. Let's see what that looks like. And stop. Let's hit go and see what we got now. Alright, so we pulled too much out at 60 hertz. Let's give it some back. We're still too high around 2K. I'll pull some of that out. 1K is close, 2K is a little high. Hit stop. We'll hit go. Now we're getting close. And we're going to fiddle with this a little bit more, and I'll show you the final result. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to test the model. So these two right here, these two blocks, this is the solo lead that we just tested, and this is the EQ that we just did. That we didn't even test it, we just kind of looked at it on the chart and make sure everything else here is shut off. And let's see how this sounds. So before we go anywhere else, what do we got here? Alright, and now we're going to turn that off, We're going to switch to the original, the Gfx1. Back to the one we left. It's pretty close. Let's see the one that I've tweaked with and kind of got as close as I could get it. Make sure that's off, Let's go here, turn on this one, and there was just some minor tweaks in the EQing here and a couple of adjustments in the amp, but it was really pretty close to where we left it. Now back to the Gfx1. And there you have it. All right, so just to wrap up here now, let's go through the settings real quick. It was this solo lead OD was the preamp that we used. From top to bottom, drive 4.5, bass 5.3, mid 5.8, treble 6, 10 and 10 on the master and the channel, and sag and hum were in the middle at 5. And the graphic EQ that followed it, just going to read them from top to bottom. It's minus 13.5 dB on the 31 hertz. The 62 hertz was minus 3.5. The 125 hertz was minus 1.4, or 0 dB at the 250, plus 1.1 dB at the 500, 0 dB at the 1K, minus 0.6 at the 2K, plus 3.7 at the 4K, plus 4.1 at the 8K, and plus 2.7 at the 16K. The level was at 0 dB. I'll post all this stuff in the description below if anybody's interested. And I'm not going to put it on custom tone. It's just 2 blocks. It's easy enough to set up. If anybody's interested in this stuff and wants to see more, I have a few other things in the works. I have an 80A MP1 that I've done a tone match on that I'll do a video on that. I also have a Mesa Boogie Studio Pre. I have a Laney. I have a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to do some other stuff that's not only just Helix related. I'm going to start getting into some of the other rack gear that I have and some of the other things. I want to start making some branching out on some videos here. Some things that I've kind of wanted to do that have been in the works for a little while. So I hope you all liked that. If you did, press like and subscribe. And hope everyone's well. Have a good night.